companies run their cables under the sea to use it as coolant. But besides that, you cannot drink water with seawater. You cannot use it to water your crops. You cannot let animals drink seawater. You can't use it to wash, neither can you use it to cook. So the only water that is available to us is just a 3% fresh water, which is why we shouldn't misuse it. According to UN statistics, we have about 1 out of every 4 does not have access to safe, secure drinking water. So literally in Ghana, 8 million people do not have access to safe water. So that's why we are saying that when you leave water running through the tap, for instance, when you are brushing your teeth, for those of us that are fortunate enough to have water running through our taps, you open the tap, you are brushing, and then you allow a lot of water to run out. When you can just close it, fetch a cap, and then you brush your teeth. But we leave the water to run out so much. So that's how we are depleting the water. And then for us as Muslims, for those of us that use the ablution can, it's easier to regulate the amount of water you use when you are performing ablution. But those that have access to running tap, you open the tap and the same thing applies. So once you are washing your hands, the tap is running. Once you are washing your arms, the tap is running. So 2 ways you can do to minimize losses here. You can either reduce the flow of the tap to the barest minimum, or you close it. Anytime you need it to flow, you open it, take sample, and then you close it. About 1400 years ago, our Prophet Muhammad already cautioned us, and then he said that when we are performing ablution, we should be able to use water to the minimum. Who would have known that in this our Gen Z era, that advice will still be useful to us. So he was already lecturing us on sustainability. Are we there? Okay. So now let's talk about food. What is wrong with this picture? The next item, even food matters. Throwing away food is wasteful. What are we seeing here? What are we seeing in this picture? Someone is wasting. You say someone is wasting. As simple as that. So why is this seen as a waste?
This is seen as a waste because in many parts of the world there's high food insecurity. Food insecurity is where there's not enough food to feed people in a certain area. And wasting food is like, it's not something that is like it's necessary that you have to do it. It's actually a bad thing because some people take food that they won't eat. They will take a little. Maybe they think they are hungry, then they take food. They take just a little bit of it, they throw the rest away. Some people don't have enough food or any food at all to eat. So wasting food is like they could have been what you were wasting.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't actually need to add much, but just a little because you basically explained everything. Yeah, so food is a precious, let me say, material that Allah has given to us. You understand? Food is a blessing. You agree with that? Because a lot of people don't have access to food. So if we have access to food, we should count our blessings. So there are instances, you know that maybe you just take 2 scoops of rice and then you'll be okay. But they are serving you 3, 4, and then your mouth is shut. You are waiting for them to give you as much as possible. And you either go and consume or, though you are not wasting because you are consuming all, but health-wise, you do not have to actually consume 4 scoops. Maybe just it would have been enough for you. Another instance is, especially when we go for parties and then buffets. You see a lineup of food items, maybe 10, 15, you see cake here, you see pizza, jelly. You don't take some of these, but because they are lined up, you necessarily go for them.
No, together.
You see how we are wasting food? But probably you just know that me, I like only my jollof. So go and take your jollof, take your chicken, and then leave the rest. But you make sure you touch on everything till your plate is full. and then you can't even eat all.
So,
In the end, you are either pouring it away or you just leave it there, waste. Are you with me? Okay. So let's go to the other two. So essentially, food that would have been meant for, let's say, 100 people, just 10 people are consuming it, and then they can't even consume all. They end up throwing a chunk of it away. So apart from its wastage, something that could have fed more people, you are also doing damage to yourself if you force yourself to eat what is not required of you. I saw in some hadith somewhere, I don't know, maybe the malams here will help us. It's like when you are eating food, you should literally divide your stomach into 3 chambers. One should be filled with food, one should be filled with air, and then one should be filled with water. Okay, many of you are relating to that hadith, yes. But sometimes we essentially fill our stomachs to the brim such that there's no space for us to breathe again. Even water, we have to wait for like 1 hour because the entire stomach is filled that there's no longer space to drink water. So this already goes against our moral obligations. For the last two, I'd like the guys to help me with that. What do you see on the third one? What do you see on the third one? Oh, the guys. What do you see?
Yeah, single-use plastic materials.
Okay.
As in it's polluting the water. It's plastic materials.
Okay. Any other thoughts on it?
So like I'll take this as water pollution. Yes, something.
Okay, great. Any other thoughts? Exercise your hand up. Okay.
Instead of using plastics that could just be used and thrown away, we could go back to using papers, paper bags, reusable bowls like wooden bowls instead of using the plastic ones because they don't disintegrate. They are made of synthetics. They don't disintegrate. So we could use things that when we throw away, we know that they are going back into nature instead of using things that would pollute the environment.
That's amazing. Any other? Yes, another hand here. Okay, since you are closer to me.
Instead of recycling them, they end up pouring it into water bodies which destroy aquatic lives.
Okay, excellent. I'll take 2 from this side. You don't like talking. Just 2 from here. If you raise your hand, I'll give it to you the body by the Who wants to rescue the team here? Just to share 2 thoughts on what you are seeing.
We all know plastics are recycled materials. So they can easily be molded into
Okay, thank you. So when it comes to plastic, I won't talk much about it because at the end of this presentation, I actually have a video to share on this particular slot because the issue about plastic far goes beyond what we are seeing here. So the basic thing I would just say is that when it comes to single-use plastic, we are talking about the disposable spoons, this takeaway bags, the rubbers, those packaging, or you go and buy your watch, they put it in rubbers, those kind of rubbers, the one-time use, disposable cups, and so on. So we're basically talking about the single-use plastics. So let's assume yesterday, all of us bought food in plastic. You can imagine the amount of littering we've done to the environment. You understand? So we'll get back to the plastic issue. So the last one, the issue is the last one. what is it? The last one. What do you see there? Okay. Any other person? You want to see me? Okay, that's so what do you see on the screen? Pertaining to the last item.
So leaving the electricity on whilst the room is empty. So by doing so, it's producing heat and also wasting the resources that may be used to produce more energy for the future, or maybe for better use. So instead of filtering it off, we normally leave it on, wasting it and also producing heat, which leads to global warming.
Thank you. So basically, he has said everything. A lot of us are here, but most of us do not even turn off our lights whilst living in our houses. So essentially, the energy is running waste at our homes whilst we are seated here. And remember, it's not everybody that has access to electricity. So whatever we are giving, we have to appreciate it because it can easily run out. And then leaving your electricity too on, like he has said, it generates heat, which contributes to greenhouse warming. You understand? Okay. So these are just a few of the little actions that we do that affects our environment. So apart from these few, there are more, but it's at our level. I don't want us to go there. So let's focus now on these few items. So as these actions affects our environment, such little actions too can also improve our environment. So our next slide will be talking about what can we do to ensure that our battery is tilted towards 100% and not 0%. Okay, so we are looking at to cut down on single-use plastics. Any thoughts on it? How do you cut down on the use of single-use plastics? Someone mentioned it before. Can the person repeat it? How do we cut down?
Yeah. So let's say if I was to buy food outside, I'll buy it in a pack. But then I know that I have bowls at home that I could just take to the place where I'm buying food and I just buy it inside. Because at the end of the day, the pack is going in the bin. And then it's like I have polluted the environment just by buying in a pack. So we could switch to either taking reusables to buy food, or we could use things that easily disintegrate, like wooden bowls, wooden spoons, paper bags. We even have paper bowls that have been laminated. Use those ones instead of using plastics that will cause harm to our environment.
And that's true. Would anybody else want to share his thoughts on it?
So I'm just going to add up to what she said.
Okay.
So let's just like she's just said, the bowl and stuff. So I'm going to talk about the water bottle.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have now the water bottle is designed such a way that it's like a vacuum. It can contain cold water for a long time or hot water. So instead of buying plastic, bottled water and those things, you can easily use the water bottle.
Okay. So that you can refill it anytime you want. Yes. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts?
Please pass it.
I think with the with the bowls that we can bring from our homes to buy food, we not everyone can bring bowls from their homes to buy food because sometimes it's not convenient. You're going somewhere and you can't carry a bowl alone. So I think we should go back to using the leaves we use like
when you're buying wachi. So we should encourage like those who sell food to package it and make sure it's clean so that we don't contract diseases.
Yeah. Thank you. I want one more submission from the guys here. Just one last one. One last one. We wanted this discussion to be interactive. Stop.
Users will know most of our waste come from our plastic bottles and plastic cups. But then, if we can use items such as inventing a cup, that instead of using plastic, you use flour to make the cup.
Use what?
Flour. Like flour to make the cup. And also making soup bottles, where the soup bottle is actually a bar of soup, and the liquid soup is also inside the soup bottle. So that when
Yeah, I think I've seen something like that.
the outer bottle as normal.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I've seen something
Are
like
you
that.
hearing what he said? Do you want him to repeat? Oh, yeah.
We should use cups made from flour, and we should use plastics like soup bottles made from bar soups with the liquid soup inside the container. So when you're done using it, you don't have to throw the container away. You can use the container as hand soup also.
Okay. So he's basically saying that we should, as much as possible, be able to use a container in different ways, several other ways, instead of just using it for one purpose and then throwing it away. Yes, so as my sister said, if we are able, let's go for materials that are recyclable. Or if you have a container for food, bring it along. If you are at a place, as my sister is also submitting, you don't have the ability to come along with a container. Maybe you don't have a choice. And if the leaves are not available and they put it in a disposable container or a bag for you, you accept it. But the most important thing is that once you are done, you should be able to trash it well. You go to certain programs and then you have different dustbins. So there's one they will say, put organic matter here, put maybe plastic containers here, and then put maybe my metal containers somewhere else. So when we segregate it that way, we are able to recycle it well. But in instances where we litter it everywhere, it gets into the landfill and then it becomes very difficult for us to recycle. Alright. Let's move to the other item, eco-friendly transportation. Who understands this thing? Eco-friendly transportation. We'll come to you.
Using environmentally friendly means of transportation, vehicles that do not pollute the environment. Example, electric cars, bicycles, and motors that do not emit greenhouse gases into the ecosystem to reduce the amount of carbon in the environment.
Any other?
You want to talk?
Okay, so when it comes to eco-friendly transportation, it includes options like walking, biking, using public transportation, and even using electric and hybrid vehicles. This reduces the rate at which greenhouse gases are emitted and reduces air pollution, which contributes to a healthy environment for us.
Thank you.
Wait 1 second. Okay.
So please, regarding the eco-friendly transportation, I have a question about it. When we are producing these eco-friendly transportations, we pollute the environment. And after that, we are creating something that does not pollute the environment. So how does the eco-friendly transportation help us in environmental sustainability? So when the factories are producing the batteries for transportation, after that they produce something that our environment. So how are we going to balance the two? Because you are destroying it at the same time to replace create something good. How are you going to balance these two?
Yeah. So you understand this concept of carbon credits. I didn't want us to go deeper into that. So companies that releases a lot of pollutants into the environment, they are also mandated to establish means in a way that negates this pollution into the environment. You understand that concept? I don't want us to go far into that. But basically, what all of you have said is right. We can switch to alternative and sustainable means of transportation, such as electric cars, and then biking for short distances. But the goal is not to say that we should avoid the use of ordinary diesel or gas-powered vehicles. We can do that as long as all these measures are not fully available to us. The most important thing is that we should cut down on the use of gas and then gasoline-driven vehicles. Sustainability is not to say that we should avoid the things that we are naturally inclined to, but we should do it in a way that it doesn't affect the environment heavily. So we head towards sustainability in a very gradual manner. We can't just wake up one day and say, no, none of us is going to use gas or diesel-powered